Now, Donald Trump has condemned Prince Harry's unforgivable betrayal of the late Queen and has criticised the Biden administration for protecting the Duke in the US visa battle over his drug use. Trump said he would not protect Prince Harry and that the Duke would be on his own if it was down to him.
Meanwhile, Prince Harry seems to have launched his own attack on streaming giant Netflix, as his new Invictus Games documentary will air on rival on-demand service Hulu instead of Netflix, where he and Meghan are still locked into a 5-year deal. Well, Chair of Republicans Overseas, Greg Swenson, joins us in the studio. Now, this whole court case against getting Prince Harry's visa out into the daylight to see whether he had said on that application or not, I've never taken narcotics, I've never dabbled in nefarious products. And then in his book he says, well, that's exactly what I did. It's taken a kind of an interesting turn where the man who could well be the next president of America has said, yeah, no, let's have a look at that thing.
Yeah, I mean, the president is known for having grudges and also known for having loyalties, right? And he was very loyal to the Queen, and he, he's a fan of the United Kingdom. And so he sees this as, sort of an outrage. Is it the most important thing, in the world, and should it be on the top of the future president's agenda? Probably not, but that's just the way Trump is, and he often has a gift for saying what people think,
yes,
or saying what people would like to say if they had his platform, and that's what he's doing here. He's tapping into the sentiment of most Americans.
Yeah, indeed, and obviously we're going to come to his stunning victory in South Carolina in a little while, and wonder why or not Nikki Haley is stumbling along, trundling along still. We'll come to that in a minute. But in terms of Prince Harry, what I don't like, I understand what Biden's administration are doing. They don't want to diplomatically fall out with Britain by telling Prince Harry to get the hell out of California. Therefore, they're taking a very kind view of his drug use and all that. Now, the question here is, the original Heritage Foundation lawsuit was, chuck this guy out, he's just admitted to drug use. That is not allowed in this country for foreign visitors. Therefore, he has to go. That was kicked out of court, by a kindly administration who wants to be nice to Prince Harry. So then they've come back and said, OK, well, this is the land of the free speech, freedom of expression. We have the right to see his visa application. Let's see that form, on which will be two things. Either he lied about his drug use, and therefore that is an abuse of that very sacred visa form, or he told the truth, at which point we'll have to say, well, why did you let him stay then? You wouldn't let me stay, you wouldn't let Alex stay, but you would let this Prince of the Realm stay. And now we've got this bizarre situation where Biden's goons are defending Harry, saying, well, yeah, even if he did say he took drugs on the form, even if he has to, he was probably lying in his book to sell copies. I mean, this is bizarre, isn't it? As I say, sorry to rant on, but what disappoints me is America is the land where everybody is looked upon equally, everybody gets treated equally. Harry, a pampered prince from a foreign country, is getting special treatment. Frankly, Greg, that is un-American.
Yeah, there's a lot in there, Kevin. I mean, first of all, I understand why they'd want to protect Prince Harry. You don't want the diplomatic row. I get it. But then if you look at the context of the context of the left and the legacy media ranting all the time about no one is above the law. That's what we have. That's why we have to indict former President Trump for all these things that no one else would ever be indicted on. So there's some real conflicts here. And then you have the fact that the Biden Justice Department has been doing a great job protecting his own son, Hunter, who had not only drug violations, but gun violations, getting a gun permit while using all kinds of drugs. The list is long. So, there's a lot of context here, and I understand why people are annoyed. Why are you protecting Prince Harry when you're going after your political opponents, which sounds a lot like Russia? And then secondly, why are you protecting your son, and who has compromised you with China, Ukraine, Romania, Russia, with all the payments coming to the Biden family? These are things that just don't smell right to the American voter. So I think, again, President Trump is tapping into that.
But, I mean, one thing that the Donald knows how to do and knows how to do brilliantly well is pick things that are going to make headlines, pick those topics which do tend to divide. You either love them or you hate them, the Marmite topics. And who better to have a go at than Prince Harry?
Yeah, there's some merit to that, for sure. I mean, the president has a gift. Yeah. And look,
I love it.
He has a gift, of tapping into some of these issues that, maybe they shouldn't be the #1 diplomatic issue, but that's what people are thinking. And people have grown, as we've talked about on your show before, you know, people in America have really grown tired of the whole Harry and Meghan thing. They just have it's not they don't have any interest, they're just kind of revolted by it.
Just shut up.
Exactly.
Leave us alone. And now it looks like Harry's being not only betraying the Queen, but also, according to reports, betraying Netflix, because he's made a documentary about his Invictus Games for rival channel Hulu. So I wonder what that means for
what 100
Harry.
million should
Yeah, I
do.
wonder what that means for Harry and Meghan's Netflix deal. A lot of people think it's coming to an end. But let's talk about South Carolina. The Donald stormed to a 20-point victory there. This is the home state of Nikki Haley, where she used to be governor. So greater humiliation, it's hard to imagine. And yet she's staying in the race. Why?
Well, yeah, there's two views or two reasons to stay in a race. One is to win, which she clearly can't, and she clearly won't. She's the favorite, traditionally you'd call it the favorite son, the favorite daughter of South Carolina. If you can't win your own state, you have no business with any realistic chance of winning not only the election or the nomination, but she won't win any other states on March 5th, which is Super Tuesday. But there's other reasons to run. You know, there's personal gain, which, you know, you could probably say there's been several others in the last few cycles that have stayed in when they had no business staying in terms of their chances, but just it could land them a better job, you know, on a network. It could land them a couple of board seats, which she's very happy to take. She has already. And so, you know, there are other reasons. And then there's also like the protest vote or the principled reasons to stay, like Bernie Sanders stuck it out in 2016, or think about Jesse Jackson or Steve Forbes on the right, you know, that hang around long enough because they want to be represented. They want their voters to have a seat at the table. And I don't know what her real difference is versus Trump. The only thing I can really point to is her view on Ukraine. But other than that, there is no, besides her voter appetite and her voter support is just different than Trump's. So if there's any reason to stay, it might be, and I would hope that Trump can reach out and get those voters' support.
I mean, perhaps the Republicans should be quite grateful that there's a degree of competition in a free and liberal society where people get to choose, because the Democrats certainly don't have that with the fossil, do they?
No, and that's one of the problems for the Democrats. There is no obvious choice to take Biden's place, and they have to get rid of Biden. I mean, there's just no.
Can they?
There's no vehicle to do that. There's no mechanism. But if they have to just talk him into it. And if he decides or he realizes what's reality, in July rolls around the Republican convention, and he's down in the polls, and they realize we're going to lose the swing states, which means we'll lose the election, you know, they might talk him into leaving.
Well, because I get the impression he'll hang on with, you know, Whiten's knuckle.
He's a stubborn old dude, isn't he?
Yes, and you saw that in his press conference 2 weeks ago. He's angry.
Lost
he's
his
bitter.
temper.
Yeah, he's really angry at anybody who criticizes him. So I don't know that it will work, but it worked in 2020 when they talked Bernie Sanders out of running, because Bernie was clearly going to win the nomination and then get crushed by Donald Trump. So they talked Bernie into standing down, and it worked. They got Biden.
Bernie's got his marbles, though. Joe Biden is not all there.
Yeah, they did. The media did a great job of covering for Biden in 2020. He didn't have his marbles then. In fact, we saw that 2 weeks ago when this report came out. As early as 2017, they realized he was not all there.
And so, let me tell you, he's a lot worse than he was at the last election. His decline is shocking.
It's pretty linear, and you know, I called it early stage dementia and got a little heat for it, and I said I was being nice. I was being kind.
Yeah.
So,
at the very least, he's a very
generous.
old and confused man, and one wonders if he could even has the energy to do a whole second
He's
term.
also corrupt. He's also compromised. There's things that they've known in Washington for a long time, that the Biden family and Joe Biden are corrupt. But it was really well covered up. It was sort of inside baseball kind of talk in Washington. Now it's all out in the open. So you've got the cognitive challenges, and then you've got the fact that he's taking money from all kinds of adversaries of the United States.
Sometimes I think our politics is mad. Then I look at America and I go, somehow.
Somehow it's the
don't have a
same.
lock on it.
It's the same.
You do not have a lock
This
on it.
is no more insane in Washington than it is in London. They're all mad.